What if Luke Skywalker was allowed to join the Imperial Academy? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Luke glances back at the Tatooine surface one last time as his ship takes off. He had sold off his land speeder and scraped up all of his life savings for this trip to the Imperial Academy. The nearest Imperial recruiting facility was far away, so Luke had time to mull over his decision. Although his aunt and uncle would have never approved, he couldn't help himself. This was his chance to make something of himself. He promises to come back for them when he has a chance, but in the meantime, he looks forward to the future. When he arrives at the Imperial Recruitment Center, he finds hundreds of other recruits waiting alongside him. Luke joins their ranks as experienced officers pace through their lines and begin testing them. They are trained to fire blasters, hand-to-hand combat, and starfighter piloting. Luke excels in the latter, far beyond what any of the testers were expecting. They accept Luke into the academy, where he will train as part of the Imperial Navy Starfighter Corps. Despite that, the training is no less brutal. Luke is subject to combat simulations, acclimatizations to G-force, and crash scenarios. None of that is even mentioning Imperial Academy culture, where recruits are trained not just to be brave, but also callous, treating their allies and comrades as disposable. Someone like Luke struggles to adjust to the Academy life, and gets himself into trouble on multiple occasions due to his refusal to follow Academy protocol. One of his friends is an older cadet named Sabine, who shares his daring and more compassionate side. Together the two continue to train, with Sabine taking the young recruit under her wing, helping him bend the rules to succeed in the Academy. For a time it puts the young Skywalker at ease, but one day Sabine goes missing, and there are even rumors that she deserted the Empire. For Luke, this is a crushing blow, as she was perhaps his only true friend there, and she's left him alone. However, his talents remain exceptional and even attract the attention of experienced Imperial officers. Among them is Admiral Ozzel of Death Squadron, who invites Luke to serve in his fleet as a naval recruit. He soon gets his baptism by fire as Death Squadron moves to relieve an Imperial garrison being overrun by rebels. Although evacuation ships are deployed to rescue the beleaguered troops, they are picked off by rebel anti-air units. His squadrons descend to the surface. They immediately come under fire from X-Wings. Several ships go up in flames as anti-air fire pours down on them. Luke whirls his TIE fighter around, breaking formation and moving towards the source of the fire. While his squadron leader orders him to return to the position, Luke ignores him and streaks toward the rebel defenses. Soon after, most of the TIE fighters have to break off due to the heavy flak. But as several Imperials go down, Luke's starfighter streaks through the smoke and pours blaster fire on the ground positions, forcing the rebels to scatter and allowing the Imperial shuttles to take off. Although some X-Wings try to stop them, Luke sticks close to the transporters and blows through them to clear a path for the garrison to be evacuated. Unfortunately, when he returns to the fleet, Admiral Ozzel is furious at Luke for breaking formation and has him court-martialed. As he prepares to send him off to face trial, a dark figure steps forward.
Just what is this young pilot being charged for?
Insubordination. That recruit could have gotten the entire squadron killed.
No. He succeeded. He realized your battle plan was doomed for failure and salvaged the situation.
Ozzel turns, his face paling as Darth Vader's dark form looms over him.
Who is he?
Just a recruit, Lord Vader. He's new. His name is Luke Skywalker.
The name sends a rare chill down Vader's spine, his eyes fixated on the young pilot, wondering if he heard that name right. Luke can feel those eyes fixated on him while Vader's form looms large. For a moment, he fears for his life, as if the Dark Lord intends to punish him for his disobedience. He's heard stories of Vader's punishments and takes a deep breath.
You showed great skill today, Skywalker. Not many recruits would take such initiative.
Thank you, Lord Vader. I only did what I thought was necessary to protect the transport. My lord, if I may, Skywalker was acting outside of the standard protocol.
Enough, Ozzel. Protocol does not win battles. Skill does. I need such skill. If you are so troubled by this young one, then I shall take him off your hands.
What do you mean, my lord?
You will be transported to my command as a pilot. Your abilities are wasted on routine patrols.
Luke's mind races with excitement. A transfer to Vader's flagship. He's only been an Imperial pilot for a few months, but now he's being tasked to serve in one of the most respected and feared units in the Empire.
I would be honored, Lord Vader.
Good. Report to the flight officers tomorrow. We have much work to do.
As a new member of Vader's Black Squadron, Luke accompanies him on patrols, inspections, and surprise attacks on enemy forces. Paired up with some of the best pilots in the Empire, Luke's skills soar as he's able to learn from the best and get first-hand experience. The squadron becomes the bane of the rebellion, crushing dozens of rebel cells and restoring the Empire's control of several systems. But while Luke is pleased with his experience, he can't say he's proud of it. Like many others, Luke bought into Imperial propaganda about how the Empire was making the galaxy a better place. He signed up not just for adventure, but also a chance to make the galaxy better. Yet when he's on the ground, he can see the people's gazes and how they regard him coldly, with barely disguised disdain. They weren't heroes to these people, they were invaders. But Darth Vader doesn't just take on Luke as a pilot, he also appoints him as his aide, accompanying him during meetings, performing personal tasks for him, and even asking for his input on strategic decisions. Vader can sense the uncertainty in the boy and pulls him aside after one mission.
I sense conflict within you, Skywalker. Doubt, uncertainty. Those are dangerous distractions for a pilot.
Apologies, Lord Vader. It's just... I joined the Empire to make a difference, to bring order to the galaxy. But the things I've seen, the corruption, the brutality, is this the way?
You are not wrong to feel this way. The Empire is flawed.
What?
Do not be so surprised. I am not blind to the injustices around us. The incompetence, the greed, the bureaucrats who exploit their power, the officers who care more for their status than for the cause. This is not the Empire I envisioned.
But you're the Emperor's right hand. Why not tell him of it? If he'll listen to anyone, it's you.
Vader's fists clench, and Luke can sense a change in the room. He falls silent as Vader shakes his head.
The Emperor is the reason for this corruption. He has twisted the Empire to serve his ends. There is much you don't know about me, but the Emperor will not listen to me. I sought to build something greater, a galaxy of peace, justice, and order. He betrayed me, robbed me of my destiny.
Then, why follow him?
Because I have been waiting for the right moment, for the right person. You, my boy.
Me? What do you mean?
You are strong with the Force, Luke. The reason for your strength is not a coincidence. It is our bond. You are my son.
No, that's not possible.
It is the truth. The Force flows through your blood because you are my blood. Palpatine feared this, feared that we would come together. Tell me, do you not sense it?
Luke stepped back, but then started to close his eyes and search deep within himself. He bit his lip, and it was like shaking off his drowsiness as he felt his full energy. As he extended his hand toward Vader and felt a similar feeling within him, an undeniable connection to the dark figure before him, a sense of belonging he could not explain.
You and I can bring balance to the galaxy. We can tear down the corruption of the Empire and rebuild what was meant to be. Join me, and together we can make the galaxy what it was always meant to be.
After a long moment, Luke looked up at Vader.
I'll join you.
With his support, Vader begins to train Luke in the ways of the dark side of the Force. When they are not on patrol or serving the Empire, the two are alone, meditating and learning to channel the Force. Luke proves to be a natural in channeling the Force. They even practice in their starships, letting Luke feel the Force instead of using his instruments. But Vader does not tell Luke everything. He keeps some projects secret, knowing his young apprentice might not be ready for them. He sends Luke down to the holy city of Jeddah to help crush the growing number of partisans there. These rebels are some of the most radicalized and are little more than terrorists at this point, making it far easier for Luke to carry out his mission. He spends weeks in the holy city, storming rebel hideouts and capturing rebels alongside the Imperial garrison. While this seems like a regular cleanup operation, Vader hears reports that an Imperial pilot has defected and sends Luke out to hunt the pilot in possible locations to undermine Tarkin and make him look incompetent. This eventually leads him to investigate another abandoned warehouse. By the time he arrives at the suspected rebel outpost, he finds the place deserted and then takes a deep breath. Rather than leave, he uses the Force to focus, raising his hand as he searches for movement. Suddenly, he whirls around and raises his saber to deflect a blaster shot. A Mandalorian appears from the shadows. She squeezes several more shots, but Luke can deflect them. He leaps up and tries to slash at her, but she slides aside and fires a cable at his arm to try and disarm him. But rather than let go of his lightsaber, Luke pulls forward, using the Force to guide him and yank the Mandalorian to the ground, knocking her helmet off. Suddenly, she whirls up and raises her blaster while Luke readies his lightsaber, but both freeze.
Luke?
Sabine!
Their eyes widen as they see each other and begin to smile. They lower their weapons, but then Luke's expression darkens.
Everyone said you were dead. Or worse.
Thankfully not, but I see you graduated from the academy?
Yeah. And you didn't.
I had a different calling. I expected you to leave soon too.
I mean, I considered it, but things have changed now. I serve a new master.
I see the insignia. You're serving Darth Vader. Luke, this isn't you. You believe their propaganda as much as me.
I know, but there is a way forward. I saw the same things you did. The corruption, the brutality. We can bring balance to the galaxy. Together we can end this war.
No, Luke. That's not the way. The Empire can't be reformed. It's built on oppression. You're being used.
I won't join the rebellion, Sabine. This is the only way.
So, what happens now?
Her fingers tighten around her blaster. However, Luke shakes his head and deactivates his lightsaber.
I won't fight you. Go. I just hope we don't meet again.
Sabine gave him one last look before turning and disappearing into the shadows. He suddenly gets an urgent message from Darth Vader, commanding him to leave Jedi immediately. He learned that to prevent the Death Star plans from falling into rebel hands, Tarkin and Orson Krennic have decided to destroy the Holy City to prevent anyone from escaping. Luke barely manages to reach his TIE fighter, but not before he watches the Death Star unleash a concentrated burst of green energy. The city goes up in flames, kicking up a massive dust storm and leaving the planet permanently scarred. He can only stare up in horror as he watches the sacred ground being reduced to almost nothing. He knew the Empire was capable of great evil, and was a big part of why he had agreed to help his father overthrow them. But this was something far worse than anything he had ever imagined. Those thoughts run through his mind as he makes his way back to Death Squadron. But as Luke returns, Vader can sense uncertainty and leans over.
What is that thing, Father? It destroyed an entire city. Innocent lives. We can't allow this weapon to be used again.
You do not understand the power it holds, Luke. The Death Star is our path to control. If we are to rebuild the Empire under our rule, we need this weapon.
At what cost? We're no better than the very Empire we're trying to overthrow if we use it like this.
The price of peace is worth every sacrifice. You would do well to remember that.
Just as Luke was about to reply, the comms units crackle to life, revealing a panicked stormtrooper who's rattled by several explosions around him.
Lord Vader,
There's a rebel incursion on Scarif. We believe they're after the plans.
Let us go. Surely you can agree that better we have the Death Star than the rebels.
Before this mission, Luke would have readily agreed, but now he is far from certain. By the time they arrive, they can see the battle is nearly over, and things did not go well. The ruins of 2 Star Destroyers, along with the Shield Gate and dozens of Imperial ships, lay floating around them. Meanwhile, most of the survivors are trying to escape. Death Squadron targets Admiral Radiss's ship and destroys its engines before it can escape to hyperspace. While Vader leads the boarding action, Luke circles the ship and picks off its fighter escort. Few starfighters are remaining, and Luke makes short work of them. This frees up the shuttles to deploy Vader and his troops, but as he finishes up the remaining X-Wings, Luke spots a Corellian corvette slipping away from the underbelly of the ship. Before he can fire, the ship disappears into hyperspace.
Father, a ship just departed. It's marked as the Tantive 4.
As news spreads of this development, Tarkin jumps at the opportunity, claiming that this is the proof they need of Bail Organa's involvement in the rebellion. Now he can use the Death Star's power against Alderaan. While Luke keeps a straight face, he is secretly horrified, and once he gets a moment to himself, he immediately pulls out his holodisc and sends a message to Sabine. He recalls the old frequency they used during their academy days and prays that it still works.
I'm sure you must not want to hear from me, but I don't have time. Get a message to Alderaan. Tarkin is planning to destroy it.
Soon after, Vader receives a strange request from Bail Organa, asking him to visit Alderaan without warning. Although confused, Vader agrees and tasks Luke to go with him as his bodyguard. Lord Vader, I will start by saying I know about the Death Star and its potential. I also know what Tarkin plans to do to Alderaan. Surely you must realize the madness of this act. That is why I invited you here, to ask for your help.
And why should I listen? The Emperor has ordered this. Alderaan's fate is sealed.
Several reasons. One is that you care for the Emperor no more than I do, and yet you care about other things. He glances over towards Luke. There is something you do not know. When Padme died, she didn't just have a son. She had twins. And your daughter is on the Death Star. Luke's eyes widen while Vader's helmet dips down, the only indication of surprise. But inside, the shock is clear, and he considers what he says.
On board the Death Star, the only prisoner we caught was Princess Leia. That means...
She is as much your daughter as mine. Father, we can't let this happen. If Leia's there, you know what we need to do.
Your words are persuasive. But I must ask, how did you get the idea of contacting me?
Luke contacted me. Vader turns to his son and stares at him in shock. But Luke draws himself up defiantly.
I did what I had to do. You told me we're here to bring balance. The Death Star isn't balance. It's destruction.
Vader's fists clenched, but he slowly nodded.
Very well. We will stop the Death Star. But know this, Luke. Your insubordination will not go unpunished. If we survive, we will deal with this.
Soon after, Vader begins to circulate a rumor that Alderaan is attempting to evacuate its population to Tarkin. Hearing this only fuels his suspicions that Bail Organa is in league with the rebels and orders the Death Star to head to Alderaan ahead of its defense fleet. But when he arrives, he doesn't encounter a handful of evacuation transports, but a massive fleet of rebel ships. Centered around them is Death Squadron. As the fleet and station engage in a duel, a single shuttle arrives and lands on the Death Star, using command codes to bypass the battle. There, Vader steps out and calmly makes his way through, ignoring the chaos around him as he makes his way down the elevator. No one dares to question him, as his looming presence guarantees that he can intimidate anyone who gets in his way. He only has one goal in mind: reaching Princess Leia. The guards at the prison immediately allow Vader through, but he responds by tossing them aside and approaching the cell where Leia is. The princess stares at him fiercely.
What are you doing here?
saving you and your planet.
Since when do you care about Alderaan?
I do not, but I do care for you.
Leia nearly scoffed at these words, but found some strange sincerity in them and nodded her head. Taking his hand, the two started to head out, but were stopped by an icy presence in front of them. Standing by the entrance, Palpatine smiles and extends his hands.
Did you think you could simply take what is mine, Lord Vader? You disappoint me. I had expected a bit more sport. But you were always weak.
Suddenly, lightning shoots from his hands. Vader pushes Leia aside and deflects the attack with his lightsaber. He redirects the lightning towards Palpatine, who chuckles and readies his lightsaber just as Vader rushes at him. His lightsaber flashes red in a downward slash. Palpatine slides out of the way and aims a cut towards Vader's eyes, but he catches Palpatine by the hands and twists the weapon aside. He smashes his elbow against the Emperor's face, who snarls and goes on the offensive. The Emperor's lightsaber moves into a quick arc that Vader can barely follow as he tries to block his attacks. From the side, Leia crawls over to grab a fallen guard's stun baton and hurls it at Palpatine. The Emperor turns and deflects the attack, but allows Vader to regain his bearings and attacks him again. They lock lightsabers, and Leia takes another baton and strikes Palpatine in the stomach, sending a jolt of surprise. Vader tries to swing his lightsaber at his face, but Palpatine is faster and then unleashes a powerful shockwave that throws them both back. Vader and Leia slam against the walls as Palpatine looms over them.
You were always weak. It was I who made you powerful. And now you think you can defy me.
To prove his point, he unleashes another burst of lightning. Blue tendrils shoot across Vader's body as he screams. Leia gasps and tries to rush at Palpatine from behind, but the Sith Lord turns around and throws her back.
You shall die here, alone and forgotten. Not even your children will mourn you.
Not alone. The doors fly open, and Luke appears, his lightsaber ready, the red light shining brightly as he steps forward.
Young Skywalker, come to witness your father's final moments. You are both fools, bound by weakness and sentiment.
Seeing his son alive and aiding him revitalizes Vader, who rises to his feet. Palpatine tries to strike him down, but Vader dodges the attack and throws a vicious punch across his face. This allows Luke to close in on the other side, and the two attack Palpatine, forcing him on the defensive as he blocks against both of their attacks from side to side, just as Leia gets to her feet. The father and son stand shoulder to shoulder as they force Palpatine back. The Emperor snarls and allows the dark energies to flow through him, unleashing it towards the pair. But instead of shrinking back, they brace themselves and feel the attack brushing against them. It's broken by Leia, who appears from behind and slams the baton between Palpatine's shoulder blades. The shock sends Palpatine to his knees just as Luke and Vader bring their lightsabers down on him. Palpatine unleashes a torrent of lightning that momentarily halts the attack, throwing Luke back. Vader sends Palpatine against the wall, but the Emperor leaps to his feet and parries his attack. Between him and Luke stands Vader, whose lightsaber moves in a flurry of powerful slashes aimed at keeping him in place. Leia sees this and tries to swing her baton again, but Palpatine is ready and catches it. This time, he is prepared and takes the energy before swinging it towards Vader's armor. His armor begins to spark from the attack as circuits overload. Seeing this, Palpatine redoubles his effort and slams it again and again until his armor is cooking. The Dark Lord stumbles to the ground, but his hand reaches out and grabs Palpatine with him.
Luke, finish him.
The young Skywalker nods and moves from behind and swings his lightsaber across Palpatine's neck, decapitating him. As Palpatine's body falls, so does Vader beside him. He clutches the side where parts of his armor are charred. Luke holds him tightly while Leia sits beside him. Vader watches both his children.
Look at the two of you. I am so proud and so ashamed of the path I've led you. I am sorry. I
apologize when you're better. Right now, we can get you out of here.
No, that will not be happening. This is my time. Let the Death Star be my pyre, and my children finish my mission.
We will. Father.
With one final, rattling breath, Darth Vader falls still in Luke and Leia's arms. Luke swallows hard, resting a hand on his father's chest. Then slowly, he takes Leia by her hand and guides her out. Picking up a blaster, Leia follows, the pair blasting their way out of the prison and onto the hangar deck where the shuttle is waiting. While Leia gets aboard there, Luke looks at one of the TIE fighters.
We can't let his sacrifice be in vain. We have to destroy the Death Star.
Luke guides the TIE fighter, joining the swarms of other fighters, and blends in perfectly as he heads across the Death Star trench. Within the raging battle, flames are running across the trench, leaving gaping holes across the hull. Luke dodges these along with the remaining turbo lasers as he approaches the exhaust port. By now, his skills in the Force are beyond what he was expecting. Fueled by his burning passion to avenge his father, Luke fires a set of proton torpedoes. He watches as they disappear into the exhaust port and pulls up. He glances back just as for a moment the station looks unaffected. But then energy begins to burst out from its holes as the chain reaction goes off, turning it into a ball of fire. But the plans to destroy Alderaan soon get out, and Imperials like Tarkin are punished. With him gone, cooler heads are allowed to prevail, reforming the Empire and merging its government with the Rebellion. Luke, as one of the leaders of the Empire, and Leia, as one of the leaders of the Rebellion, become the twin leaders of this new government. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.